What's up, guys? Peter from Facts Not Included. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode. Just want to let you guys know that we have a giveaway for all you lucky fans. Just kidding. It's actually for 3 of you guys. It's a poster of Han Solo himself from Star Wars A Solo Story. Just kidding. Solo Star Wars Story. And of course, we also have a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet poster. And we even have a signed copy from A.D. Greer himself of the Legends of Eld book, Part 1. So if you guys would like to get any one of these 3 wonderful giveaways, just email us at factsnotincluded@gmail.com, hit us up on Twitter, or even on Facebook. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the episode. This is Facts Not Included. On this week's episode, we dive right into Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Facts Not Included, the podcast. I'm your host, Peter Cabranes, and today's episode is going to be all about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the second installment into the Jurassic World franchise. And so, I'm actually alone today. Gonna be doing a solo episode for you guys today on the podcast, if that's okay with you guys. Antonio is out doing his thing. Michael's doing his thing as well. Actually, Michael, it's funny. Mike said he had literally no interest in doing an episode on Jurassic World. He's not the biggest fan of the franchise, and so he wasn't that interested in seeing the movie. So his loss, I think. In my opinion, I think it's really his loss, because it is a really fun movie. It's quite over the top, but we'll get into that in a minute. And so, I actually want to talk about, I don't know about you guys, but movie theater experiences for me are very important. And I think that, anytime you go to a movie theater, you want to experience something fun, something, I don't know, good. You just want to feel that, the $15, $20, $30, depending on, how much you spent on a ticket, is worth the money that you paid. Because here in New York, there's not a single ticket that is less than $15. Not that I'm aware of. There's not really any movie theater left out there that is selling you a ticket below $15, really. And so, here's what happened to me during. Oh my God, it wasn't fun. So I had bought the tickets for Jurassic World probably a week in advance, maybe within the week of the time I was going to go see the movie. I bought it in advance, bought it on Fandango. I'm always buying my tickets on Fandango, unless I get free tickets from someone somewhere. But I bought my tickets there, and it stated, I usually only go to about 3 theaters in Manhattan. I'm not going to name them. Actually, you know what? I might, but the reason I don't want to name them is to give them an upper hand on anyone. But I feel like I might be naming the one I didn't have a good time at, so I might as well name the good ones. So anyway, I usually go to only 3 theaters, and they're Lincoln Square, the AMC on Lincoln Square, where the giant IMAX is in New York. You all know where that's at. Great theater. Another one is the Regal Ewok on 42nd Street. The only time I'm ever in Times Square is to, go see a movie. And another one, there's actually 2 more. Another one is the AMC on 34th Street, which is a fantastic theater right next to Madison Square Garden. And another one is the Regal Union Square Theater, which is really fun because they have balconies in some of their theaters, and it's kind of fun to experience it that way. And then there's other theaters that I've been to, and they're not terrible. I just, prefer these theaters, right? So I've been to the one in Battery Park. I've been to the AMC on 7th. I think it's called AMC 7th in the Village, whatever it's called. I've been to IFC. I've been to a lot of theaters in Manhattan. And I've been to the smaller ones like the Chelsea cinemas and whatnot. But I don't always go to certain cinemas all the time when I'm in the city. And one of the ones that I never have been to, actually, I probably have been to when I was a child, but I don't think I've ever been here, was the AMC Empire 25. And the reason in recent history that I've not gone there is because they have had reports of like bed bugs and stuff in the past, and they had a big issue, and so I stood clear of that theater. And another reason I stood clear of that theater is because, well, my favorite theater is right across the street, Regal Ewok. They're literally right in front of each other. And so it's kind of for me, it's just more, it's simpler for me. I'm a Regal guy, I'm more of a Regal guy, and it's easier for me to go to a Regal theater, and I'm going to skip out on that AMC. Fine. But something about this AMC theater has always got me intrigued. Not too many AMC theaters have it, but AMC is the only, from what I understand, the only theater company that has this, and it is the Dolby cinema experience. And so while you're in there, you get this like really amazing sound quality. I'm not sure if the Dolby viewing experience is a thing, but the sound is what you go spend money on for, and it costs about I think here in Manhattan it costs about $23 a ticket. So you're paying IMAX money to experience this, and so I avoid it, and that's why I've never been into that theater. I've always told myself if I'm going to go to this theater, I'm going for the Dolby Atmos experience, whatever it's called. And so I said, okay, let's see Jurassic World here, but I don't feel like spending the 23, so let's see it in a regular, not boring, but a standard showing room. And so we did that, and so I bought the tickets. I know I'm rambling about it, but I feel like I need to explain those things. So we get to the theater, my girlfriend and I, and it says Auditorium 18, 7:30, Jurassic World, standard showtime. Okay, cool. We get there, boom. We look outside Auditorium 18, and the sign says 7 o'clock. And I go, well, it's 7:15. Did they change the time? Like, what's going on? Like, what happened? And so I go talk to someone, and the guy was like, yeah, we changed the time from 7:30 to 7. And in my head, I'm going, but that's not true, because on on Fandango's website, it was 7, 7:30, 7:45, and then like 8:15 or something. And so I do remember that very clearly of there being a 7 and also there being a 7:30. And the guy was like, you sure that's not 3D? And I was like, dude, I'm very sure it's not 3D, because again, on Fandango, 3D is separated as a whole separate tier of things, so I wouldn't have been even looking at it. And so I was like, yes, I'm very sure what I paid for. Again, 3D would have cost me, an extra $4 or $5, so I'm well aware of what I paid for. The guy was like, yeah, well, I think they changed the times. And so we go inside. He was like, and I actually asked him, I said, are the seats still ours? Like, he goes, yeah, you'll be fine. The seats are reserved. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. So we go inside, sitting down. No more than 5 minutes later, some dude walks in, a couple actually, and they come in, and this dude's like, those are my seats. And I'm like, they're my seats. And he's like, no, I have, whatever the seat was. And I go, no, well, so do I. And so we had this like big hiccup, and I explained to him what I had spoke to the person about, and he was like, well, this is weird. And I'm like, it's very confusing. So anyway, we go talk to more people, and they're just like, just go downstairs and talk to someone at the guest services or whatever, and they'll deal with it with you. And I was like, okay, fine. And the lady was like, yeah, there is no 7:30, it's like a 7:15. And I was like, oh, okay. So can I do that? And they were like, well, that's sold out. And so I'm assuming that our 7:30 became the 7:15 or something, whatever it was. I was like, well, listen, can we get our money back? And she's like, well, there is a Dolby Atmos, the big room. We have that. And I was like, yeah, but how much is the difference? She's like, there's no difference. We made a mistake. We're gonna comp that. And I was like, ooh, okay, let's do this. And so, for the price of regular tickets, we got to experience Jurassic World in all of its glory, in an amazing sound experience. So, the whole point of my little rant here is just, I hated the fact that we had to deal with what we had to deal with, but the fact that they were able to help us out and give us a cool cool replacement and fix us, fix our situation. I do appreciate that. The people at AMC Empire 25, thank you guys so much for that. But also at the same time, one of your workers told me that Fandango makes a lot of mistakes, and I've been a moviegoer for many years, and I buy all my tickets on Fandango. So I buy upwards of 50 times per year through Fandango, and I've never ever had an issue. So to say that it was Fandango's fault is a little, I don't believe it. The reason I also don't believe it is because you are the ones that give Fandango the movie times. Fandango doesn't create the movie times. You guys tell Fandango what you want to sell and what time you want to sell. So to say that it was Fandango's fault, not quite true. But hey, I'm not angry about it. I was upset at that moment. I was really upset. I wasn't the happiest person, but I didn't cause a ruckus, and you guys helped us out so much. So I want to thank you guys so much. The people at AMC, thank you guys for that. And so, with my little rant there, we could actually get into the movie itself. So Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was released on June 22nd. I don't know why I said excuse me. I was very confused with the dates when I saw my calendar right here. On June 22nd, 2018, that is exactly the day I got to see it with my girlfriend. I wanted to see it with all my friends and her as well, but I wanted to see it with everybody. I literally wanted to sit down, watch it with a ton of people. This is a franchise that I adore. You guys know how much I love Star Wars, how much I enjoy the Lord of the Rings trilogy, of course, and not so much the Hobbit movies, but that whole franchise in it of itself. How much of a fan I am of the Harry Potter series, though I'm not the biggest Potterhead. I do enjoy the movies, but I cannot answer trivia for Harry Potter. But I am a fan. And there's a lot of trilogies out there. Of course, I'm a big fan of the MCU, and the trilogy that is Toy Story. So I'm a big fan of trilogies and franchises. But you do know, you are aware of the ones that I don't like. Of course, the Transformers series is a big franchise that I'm not too big into because it's not that good. But, let's leave it at that. Franchises like that. And so Jurassic Park, the first three movies. Of course, the first one is a quintessential masterpiece, in my opinion. It still holds up today. You could watch that movie today and still think that CGI was made a week ago. But you watch the next two movies, and the quality falls dramatically. The Jurassic World 2, I forgot the name. It might have been called Jurassic World 2, but I know one of them has this weird name. But Jurassic World Park 2, Jurassic Park 2, I think it was called The Lost World. Yeah, Jurassic Park, The Lost World, is a solid movie. It's okay. It's not the best, of course, and it's nowhere near the first Jurassic Park. And then, of course, you have Jurassic Park 3, which is an abysmal nightmare. I mean, half of the CGI doesn't even look believable. Which is, granted, you have to, suspend some disbelief. You are dealing with dinosaurs. But when you have a first movie that comes out in 1993, and it still holds up. For then a movie that comes out in 2001 to not be all that believable or that great says a lot about where the franchise was going. And then in 2015 we are given a very solid, I don't know how to put this, but I guess retelling or just continuation of the first movie, because it's clear that they don't really want to focus on the last two. And so Jurassic World is a great predecessor, I would say, to Jurassic Park. It is nowhere near the greatness that the first one was, but I was a big fan of Jurassic World. I actually saw it in theaters. I bought the Blu-ray the moment it was announced. I paid like top dollar for it. When you pay for a Blu-ray, it's like $35 or whatever. I paid big money for that Jurassic World Blu-ray. I loved Jurassic World. I know it has major problems, but I get this heat from some people because they're like, well, you don't like Transformers, but it's not meant to be serious and it's meant to be over the top. But like, yeah, but because they say that to me about Jurassic Park and all that stuff. But I'm like, yeah, but at at least Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies, they kind of make more sense, at least in my eyes. You know, I feel like Transformers are just a hunk of mess. But they are kind of right in the sense that Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies are just meant to be over the top. They're just meant to like not really make much sense, but they're just meant to for you to have a lot of action fun and a lot of, just having a good time. And that's what the first Jurassic World did for me. And also, it did it for a lot of people. It was the number one opening box office for a while until, The Force Awakens came out a couple of months later. But no movie had hit that threshold of, I think it was like over 250 for an opening weekend. So no one thought Jurassic World was going to do that. And so, of course, with a big opening like that and a big run that it had, the legs that it had, of course there was going to be a sequel. And, Jurassic World leads itself to a sequel. The whole idea that people are taking some of the dinosaurs away and the park is no longer in existence. Where can we go from here? And it was very... it wasn't quite clear, but it's understandable that the movie would go to where it went in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So, just like I said, before going into like really crazy into this review or this discussion, I rather call it a discussion. Most like most of our podcasts are. The movie is meant to be over the top. It's not meant to be taken seriously. There is plenty of plot holes, just like in most of these Jurassic movies. But suspend the disbelief and understand that there is this idea of, there is this park out there and magic kind of ensues. I just love the whole idea of Jurassic World. I'm a big fan of just the whole franchise. So just talking about it makes me go bonkers. But let's talk about that opening scene with the Mosasaurus, as they call it, the giant shark-like, alligator-like dinosaur thing that's in that water that we meet in the first movie. He's kind of like in this whole SeaWorld atmosphere that they presented to us in Jurassic World. And so, at the end of that first movie, Jurassic World, that we are led to believe that the creature, first of all, saves the day at the end of the movie, killing the Indominus Rex, saving the T-Rex. And so the beginning of this movie opens up with the whole, expedition team finding the bones of this creature, the Indominus Rex, and then, it's pouring rain, it's nasty out, and they're just like, hey, everything should be dead by now. It's been 3 years. Nothing has been fed. Don't worry about it. And so they show you the whole idea that this gate is closed, and that as they're getting into it, they're going to open the gate. And as they get into it, that's when they mention that everything should be dead by now. So they get in, and the gate is staying open. And already within the enclosure is this, Mosasaurus. I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. I know there is a correct pronunciation, but this is what I've heard some people pronounce it as, so that's how I'm going to do it. And so, they collect the Indominus Rex bones, you expected them to do that. And then all of a sudden, as they think everything is okay, it shows up and it essentially eats them and kills them and murders them. But actually, before that happens, there is, the T-Rex shows up. We needed to see her once more, clearly the franchise is moving away from a T-Rex. Clearly the franchise is moving away from the whole idea that the T-Rex is the most powerful dinosaur. So you need to give her some spotlight. So before actually they do meet the Mosasaurus, they meet the T-Rex by, very, classic kind of way of doing it. Guy, what guys, I can't hear you. Don't, run, that whole idea of that. And him running to the helicopter. And what I love, actually, I kind of messed up the whole idea of discussing the story, because before the guys in the ship find out about him, the guys in the helicopter find out about the Mosasaurus, because, the T-Rex goes to go bite the guy in the legs and all that stuff. And then just as they think they're out of the fire, the Mosasaurus comes up and leaches at the helicopter and bites and kills the man. But yeah, so the introduction of this whole idea that, hey, the park has been closed for 3 years. Most of these dinosaurs should be dead, but in actuality, none of them are. It seems they're feeding off of each other and whatever was left on the island. And life finds a way. As Jeff Goldblum said in that first movie, life continues to find a way to survive, and this is a testament to that. And so we get to the point of, we move along further into this, and the whole idea that these animals are in danger. There's a volcano that's erupting. Should we save them? Should we not save them? Do they need our protection? Should we even care? They've gone extinct before. We should just let it happen again. Who are we to say? Who are we to play God? That whole idea plays within the first few minutes of this movie. Congress gets involved. The American Congress, of course, the United States Congress, gets involved in something that they really should be talking about, and the context of this movie, and it kind of plays on real world ideas. The whole idea of refugees, and do we get involved? Should we get involved? And that whole conversation is for something else. But that's kind of what the movie is discussing. The movie is talking about stuff like that, real world ideas and issues that we're dealing with right now, and of course, the issues that we're dealing with now with the immigration stuff in this country. And so this movie plays on all of that. So Congress decides not to intervene and not wanting to be a part of that, even though, of course, Dr. Ian Malcolm is, the great Jeff Goldblum in a short cameo, even tells them that, hey, we should probably get involved before something bad happens, before our whole, status quo gets flipped upside down. And then it even mentions that change is death, and maybe we should get involved. But Congress says, we're not going to get involved. So this, of course, leads Bryce Dallas Howard's character to get involved. Now, what is she doing at this point? Well, it's been 3 years, of course, since the park is closed, and she's working at like some sort of campaign to save the dinosaurs. Kind of like a grassroots campaign, if you say so. She's working with a couple of interesting characters. Now, there has been the whole idea of introducing some new characters in Jurassic World, and so they introduced these new two characters named Franklin and Zia. Now, Zia apparently is a doctor in the world of Jurassic Park. She knows how to work with dinosaurs really well. I forget what it was that she said she studied specifically, but she is a doctor nonetheless. And Franklin, probably the comedic relief of this movie. He is extremely funny, shy, and does not want to do anything in regards to being near these creatures. So every time that we get into that, but every time you see him with a dinosaur, it's kind of funny. So Bryce is in charge, and she wants to help out, and so this whole thing of being introduced to this evil character, Mr. Eli Mills, he at first when you meet him, you think he's a good guy. He's telling Bryce that, hey, she meets him in the mansion, at the Lockwood Estates, that, hey, we need to make sure that we can get these dinosaurs back, and let's do it nice and safe. She gets a phone call from him. That's how she gets there. You guys saw the movie. So she gets there, and when you first meet him, you're thinking that he's gonna be a good guy. Maybe. But you get that understanding right across the bat that maybe he is working for the bad guys. It's Jurassic Park. They like to screw around with you. So he gives her the idea that, hey, we need someone to get Blue, which you guys remember from the first movie. Blue's this velociraptor that is extremely intelligent. She knows how to work with humans. She knows how to communicate with humans very nicely, and that's something you don't see with every dinosaur out there. And so we need to track Blue down. We don't know where she's at, but while we're doing that, we also need to make sure that we are getting the rest of the dinosaurs off that island. We need to make sure that they are safe and that they are secure. And that is the big point of this. But in order to get Blue, we need someone that could be able to talk to her. Now, who's that? Boom, my guy, Chris Pratt. Now, here's the thing. Chris has given up on all this. Chris is living, I forget where it is that he's at, but he's building a cabin like he said he was. He's building a cabin. He's trying to build a life for himself that's not really related to dinosaurs anymore. He's doing his own thing. Owen Grady is the name of the character, just in case you guys didn't know. He's just chilling out, he's doing his thing. And, so she needs to get in touch with him. She needs to be able to get Bryce Dallas Howard's character, Claire, needs to be able to get Owen back to thinking about dinosaurs and getting him pumped and excited to go save Blue. And so that all happens in that bar scene that we all saw. I think that's really fun. Really says a lot about their characters. It's a nice, nice character development there. I appreciated that. And so, boom, they're on their way to the island. Now, when they get to the island, they meet this dude that's very evil. A very evil individual. I forget the actor's name, and I also forget the character's name. Ted Levine. Okay, there we go. Ted Levine. He plays Ken Wheatley. He plays that little douchebag man with the gun that was just really in all this just for the money and just to get the reward and his what was it, the bonus that he was getting from Eli Mills. So then a bunch of crazy stuff starts happening. The volcano starts to erupt even faster and crazier and more. The guy turns on all of them, leaving Owen to die. And all this crazy shit starts happening. And so no one knows what to do, and they're going to try to escape. Claire and Franklin are stuck in this enclosure type, in the computer room, as I called it, because I didn't know what they call it, the control center. And they're stuck in there. And then Owen, of course, is he's been tranquilized, and he's left to die, it seems. And Zia is stuck with Mr. Wheatley, dealing with Blue. I believe that's what happens. Stating that if you don't save her, you're gonna die yourself. And so all this is happening. We don't know what's gonna happen. But of course, it's early on in the movie enough to suspect that they're all gonna make it out alive, and that is exactly what happens. But with some fun things happening. I mean, while Claire and Franklin are in that enclosure, a dinosaur comes into the tunnel because they thought that if they get out that way, it would be cool. But then they notice that something is on its way, and it's this giant. I don't know what it was, the type of dinosaur, but I'm sure if you look it up, you can find out. There's that giant dinosaur that's in there, and that whole scene for me really worked. It really just made a lot of sense, and it just was a lot of fun. And then seeing Chris Pratt coming out of that coming out of that tranquilizer through the dirt and all that, it was just really funny. And they're seeing him run, saying, "Run! We gotta get out of here." It was really, really, really funny. The part that really got to me, and I think it got to everybody, was we didn't know how serious this movie was going to be. We all just thought that maybe this movie was going to be fun, over-the-top nonsense, in all honesty. But the part that really hits us is as they're making it over there, they get into this ball, that ball driving machine thing, and they all dive in to the water. An essential suicide mission, kind of the only way we can get out of here is if we dive over the cliff. They dive in there, and they just are freaking out. And I at first was like, I don't know if they're gonna make it out. And then of course they do. They somehow make it out, and then a bunch of things start happening. Their main mission, of course, is to get back to that ship. They see that the T-Rex has been taken away, and they're going over there. So they get to the ship. And the part that freaked me out, and I think it freaked a lot of people out, was after they get all the dinosaurs on the ship, and after even they made it onto the ship, they left one. They left a dinosaur on that island. And he did not know how to react, or she, I don't know. But they did not know how to react. And they knew that all their friends were gone, and they knew that everyone was was on that ship, and they were well aware of that, and then they died alone. And it was so powerful because no one expected, at least I didn't, expect this movie to speak volumes. To speak volumes the way it did, saying that these are living creatures. If we do not do anything, they will die. And I had no idea the movie was going to do that. I didn't. I really didn't. I just thought it was going to be one of those, here's another Jurassic Park movie. Dinosaurs did this. Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to take them all and sell them or whatever. I mean, it is kind of what they do. But they give you that little glimpse of like, but they're also living creatures as well. And we're not messing around with your feelings, man. Because I looked over at my girlfriend and she was just distraught. I think she was even crying. I'm not even sure. So yeah, so that happens and all this. The movie starts moving along, and as this starts to happen, the movie starts to pick up and pick up and pick up. And so these, we're introduced throughout the movie to different characters. I'm leaving them out clearly, but I'm out here to give a summary of the movie. I've kind of done that already, but I'm not trying to give a full summary or synopsis of the movie. But we are introduced to a couple of individuals as the movie progresses. And of course, we're reintroduced to the great Benjamin Lockwood, of course, one of the co-creators of Jurassic Park and one of the original cast members, James Cromwell, one of the original cast members of the first Jurassic Park movie. So it was really cool to see him show up again and play a part in this movie. And his role is quite important. His role is the whole idea of him being there is, I created this mess, but I also want to make sure that, the people that are taking care of my estate understand that we need to make sure these creatures are being taken care of, and that I see creatures, these dinosaurs are being taken care of, and that everything that we stood for is still being stood for. And that clearly is something that Mr. Eli Mills goes behind. He's in charge of the estate, and he's in charge of a lot of things in that house. And he clearly goes behind Mr. Lockwood's back, and even kills Mr. Lockwood later in the movie. And then we're also introduced to a character who I fell in love with. This little girl. I can't find her information here. See if I could find it. But I can't seem to find it right now. Yeah, I can't seem to find it right now. But the little girl is played. Yeah, so I can't seem to find it right now, but the little girl that is played by this unknown actress for me, I don't know the child's name, but she plays his granddaughter. Well, in actuality, we find out later, as you guys all know, he's playing the daughter, a cloned version. He had the technology. He just cloned his daughter after losing her at such a later stage in life, or a young age, I suppose. And so, that part was whatever, it wasn't necessary. Okay, cool. He used the technology that he had to do. Fine. If she wasn't in there at all and she was just another kid, maybe he had another kid who had a grandchild. Fine. It doesn't change anything in my opinion. It just leaves you to feel probably, I don't know if it was meant to make you feel better about Mr. Lockwood's situation, saying that, hey man, he lost his daughter. I would have done it too if I could have. Or it makes you look at him in a more negative light, that, hey, he just keeps playing this God figure, and just whatever he can get his hands on, he's going to twist and change. And so I don't know how I should feel about that. I don't know if it's meant to make me feel like something, but again, if she wasn't involved in the movie as a clone and she was just a kid that was related to him, fine. But because she is, I'm supposed to, I guess, believe something else. I don't know. But again, this goes into some of the movie's issues. Parts of the movies that I have issues with, now that we're on the subject, I suppose, and it has to do with the house, are some of those characters in that house. Of course, Eli himself, he's supposed to be the big bad of this movie. He's quite one-dimensional. He's just there to sell dinosaurs. That's it. He's not. He doesn't really have a purpose for me. I think if you took him out of this movie, and left someone else there, it would have been fine. Like Toby Jones's character, Eversol. If you kept him in there, fine, okay. If he played all the character, like if you morph those two characters together for me, works out fine. Works out fine. You don't need two separate people. Of course, Toby Jones is an excellent actor. He could have done that himself. I don't know who Rafi Spall is. I'm not saying that I just because I don't know who he is, he shouldn't have been there. But I feel like Toby Jones is good enough of an actor to be involved in this movie at a bigger role. I think you kind of missed an opportunity by having Toby Jones in there and not having him do something extraordinary or larger than his role was in the movie. Yeah, and so some of the characters in this movie are meh. Owen Grady and of course Claire are the focal point of this movie, as they were in the first movie, and they do a good job with these characters. They are the two main characters, so I didn't really have a problem with their character development in this movie. Eli, I just spoke about Eli. Franklin and Zia, the two new characters in this movie. I'm sure they'll have a bigger role in the next movie, because we all know there's going to be a third one. I don't know. Zia was there for. I feel like Zia was created by a marketing team. I don't know why. I feel like she was there to be the spunky, new age, millennial character. And that's coming from someone who is in that age group, so I'm not bashing them if they did that. But I feel like maybe that was her thing. And then Franklin was clearly created for comic relief. So they're also not the most two-dimensional characters out there. Benjamin Lockwood, of course, being the focal point in the series, he was fine in the movie. I feel like if we gotten more of him, we would have felt probably happier as Jurassic Park fans. But that's just someone that is a lover of the franchise. Ian Malcolm, of course. If we get more Jeff Goldblum, please, we get him in like the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then we get him at the very end of the movie. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a focal point in the third movie. I really, really, really hope so. And then B.D. Wong, of course, playing Dr. Wu. I mean, you can't get enough for Dr. Wu. You can't. That evil little maniacal little bastard that he is, thinking that he's just the perfect doctor, creating all these little things. Seeing him is just always fun. But yeah, I mean, some of the characters in this movie could have been a little different, maybe changed. It would have probably changed the movie as well. I don't really know. Something I want to talk about is Blue. Blue being like a major focal point as well in this movie. It had me by surprise, kind of. We're introduced to Blue in the first movie as this. They mentioned her a lot. They said her name quite often in that movie. They made sure that she was talked about more than any of the other velociraptors. And so it kind of led you to believe that, okay, maybe she is more important than we are being told. And then, of course, in this movie, she's needed because this new dinosaur, the Indoraptor, is kind of I think the way they explained it, if I'm not mistaken, is that she's also a raptor, of course, an Indoraptor, but she is connected to Blue in some sort. That the genes are there or whatever, and that she needs some sort of motherly figure, and Blue's going to be that type. And I guess that makes sense, But I really liked that Blue was the main dinosaur in this movie, because enough of the more T-Rexes, enough of the bigger, badder dinosaur. I mean, we had that, of course, with the Indoraptor, but it's clear that the Indoraptor wasn't the main dinosaur. It's hard to explain, but the way I saw it, the movie was that yes, we're leading up to they mentioned the Indoraptor throughout the movie, but we're led to believe that there's going to be this big reveal, and there was, and it was really cool that the whole heat sinking thing was cool, whatever. But I feel like this is Blue's movie. I feel like this is Blue's movie. Just like in the last movie, the Indominus Rex. That was, if you were to pick a dinosaur that the movie focused on, it was the Indominus Rex. This movie, though they mention the Indoraptor exhaustingly sometimes, maybe not, but it felt like Blue's movie, and it makes sense that way, that it would be that dinosaur's new movie, because they're well aware that we're kind of like, enough with the creating this dinosaur and wreaking havoc on people and letting it loose in a park or whatever, So it makes sense that it would be Blue's movie, in some regard. And so I feel like this is a good time to hit to the commercials, or a commercial, or some sort of ad. I will return, and when we get back, we're going to be talking more about Jurassic World. Hey guys, I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing my voice by now, but I want to thank you guys so much for checking us out wherever it is that you're finding us on the interwebs. Just make sure that you are letting all your friends know about Facts Not Included, the podcast. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Podbean, Podcast Addict, iTunes, hopefully Spotify. We have it all. We're everywhere. We're even on YouTube. We just like to have conversations with people. So whether it's listening to the podcast or talking to us on those platforms, we're always looking forward to have a conversation and a really good thought process about movies and entertainment in general. So thank you guys for checking us out. And don't forget to let your friends know. Back to the show. And we're back. Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you enjoyed that little thing that we added there. So we are talking about Jurassic World, and I think this movie had me just all over the place happy with it. Again, not meant to be taken seriously, not meant to really, make much sense. There's, of course, plot holes like we talked about, but, it is a fun movie. Well, I mentioned plot holes a few times. I feel like one of the plot holes that we could talk about is the use of time. How quickly do they get from the island back to I swear they were in California. Yeah, to back to California, and then these gentlemen that are here to buy the dinosaurs and bet on them and whatnot. They show up in a matter of seconds. I feel like maybe if they told us how they got there, if they used title cards on the screen, that would help me out a little bit more with time. The only way we found out about the 3 years thing is that by a newscaster mentioning, I think, it's been 3 years since the closure of the park. And so I think the use of time was a little out of whack. And then also, the whole idea of having to suspend some disbelief. But again, it's Jurassic World. Don't expect the world from it. So, yeah. I like what this movie does with not having to have. Oh, that's a fun sentence. But I feel like this movie did a good job of not having to have another park. I mean, the first movie does it. Jurassic Park 2, I think, with a new island. I think it was like a second island where they started creating a second park or something like that. I don't know. I forget the premise of the last, two Jurassic Park movies. And then Jurassic World, of course, is like, we've learned from our mistakes and we're making this new park. And then, of course, chaos ensues. And then Jurassic World 2, Fallen Kingdom, you had this idea of like, where can they go from here? I mean, we've seen a park rise and fall before. Are we going to see this again? Do we want to see this again? Ugh. And we don't. We get the whole idea of an animal sanctuary, and then animals they're being brought to the country, the United States. They're being brought onto the mainland, and it's kind of like freaky because it's like if something happens, what is going to happen? Like if they're let loose, and of course at the end of the movie they are let loose by the young girl, and now we're led to believe that the next movie is going to be some sort of like Planet of the Apes type of idea of like monkeys and humans living side by side on this intellectual scale. You see the image of the T-Rex kind of barking at the lion and the lion growling back. And that is just the whole idea of that is kind of like really cool to me. Where are we going to go in the next movie? Like, are we going to see videos of new scenes of like animals crashing into New York City and just the world is on fire because these animals are being let loose, or I mean, are we going to see images of people having animals as pets? I mean, dinosaurs as pets. What what is it? What is it going to be like? Are they going to be at the top of the food chain automatically, or is there going to be some sort of group? Are there going to be groups of saying? Sorry, are there going to be groups saying that these animals need to be dinosaurs need to be kept in zoos? Or is that going to be already something we see in the next movie? Are some of them going to be in zoos? Some of them are going to be in the wild. Domestication of these animals, dinosaurs. Well, I keep saying animals. They are technically animals, but they are dinosaurs. To keep them separated. But like, what is it that is going to be shown in that third movie? And I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know. I'm very confused about that. I'm very uncertain about that. But it's fine because it's up to Universal and the people at Universal to figure that out. But I want to talk more about the issue of the dinosaurs being sold at an auction, the whole idea of how they were going to show us this. Because they could have went probably a couple of ways with it, but being that we have a director who knows how to direct horror, he does a good job at making the audience suspenseful. Keeping us in suspense. The director is J.A. Boyona. He directed actually one of my favorite movies. It's called The Orphanage. It is great. You guys got to check this movie out. It's so good. It's so good. I think it's this movie I'm thinking. Yeah, it's totally this movie. The Orphanage. Excuse me. That movie is amazing. Actually, one of the actresses that is in Jurassic World, Geraldine Chaplin, she plays like the nanny, I suppose, for the little girl in the movie at the estate. She plays one of the characters in The Orphanage. It's a great movie. You guys gotta check it out. But anyway, he knows how to make you scared. He knows how to scare you. And so he does it a couple times in the movie. I personally wasn't like freaking out, but I did get that feeling of, because again, we're watching it in this like crazy sound theater. So I did get that idea and that feeling of suspense and horror. But he did an excellent job of this movie. He was actually, I think, tapped to do the first Jurassic World, but he was busy doing, I think, a Monster Calls or something, or some movie. I think I might have this all wrong, but that's why we're facts not included. But he was tapped to do this other movie and wound up doing Jurassic World Part 2. And so I can't give him enough praise for this, but he had me like really hooked. He's an excellent director, and his art, he has an artistic style to directing, and that's the thing about him that I really like. When you watch his movies, he's an auteur, as they say. He has an understanding of what it is to do. That made no sense. What it is like to direct a movie and have a certain craft or style to it, and he knows how to do that, and he brings it to us in this movie. Doesn't fail. I'm not saying he deserves best director for this movie by any stretch of the imagination. No. But he does a good job of this. So when all the dinosaurs are captured and they're in these little cages, it's just so sad. It's just so heart-wrenching to see them dealing with this agonizing torment that they're going through, and knowing that on the other side of that wall there are men buying them for millions of dollars. Men that want to just use these dinosaurs as weapons, and you're just disgusted with it. And so it goes to show that there's a lot of sick people in this world, And the whole idea of dinosaur trafficking led me to believe like sex trafficking, child trafficking. It just leads you to these thoughts of just, these are things that are actually happening in our real world, and just this movie does a pretty good job of making us reflect on what is happening in our lives. But so after that happens with the auction, and then Owen breaks in and brings an ending to this nonsense, this travesty that is the auction, and he gets his little dinosaur. I forgot that little dinosaur's name, the one that has like that shell on its head. the one that has that shell on its head. I forget what they're called, but he brings him in to the auction. He causes mayhem. Things go crazy, and that's when the ball starts rolling to get these dinosaurs out of there, and to get these sick men to lay down their money. And to say that enough is enough, but they don't, of course, do that. So the dinosaur kills most of them, and as they're running out later on, you see them being trampled, some of them, and being killed by the Indoraptor, seeing the animal being put to its test. And then at the end of the movie, we are shown all the dinosaurs being let out by that little girl, and then of course Eli is given his due by I can't remember that dinosaur's name. It definitely wasn't a T-Rex. It was some sort of dinosaur, but he's killed, and good for him. I hated that character so much. So it's kind of like a good twofold thing. Like, he was such a bad character, and he's such an evil person. So it's kind of a good thing to see that character go away. And so the movie ends, and all these dinosaurs are being let loose, and it's just like, what? Like I said before, what is this next movie going to be about? And that is what Jurassic World 3 is going to be all about. It seems it's going to be about these dinosaurs being out there, let loose, and all that. But anyway, I feel like I talked the hell out of this movie. I feel like there's plenty more that could be discussed. But again, it is just me here, and I just feel like if I continue to ramble about this movie, I'm going to be talking about things that really just don't make any sense. But I did enjoy this movie a lot. It had me rolling. It just had me laughing. Laughing in my head, but not so much out loud. But there was a lot of funny moments. The movie just had me really excited, really pumped and amped for this franchise again. I mean, the first one did too, kind of, Jurassic World. I did like it so much, but this one is probably the best Jurassic World and Jurassic Park movie since the original one. I don't really think anything could conquer that first movie, but this one does an amazing job at doing so. This movie is amazing in that regard, in the franchise itself. It's not saying a lot about the franchise. I mean, because you could have an amazing Jurassic World movie, a Jurassic Park movie, whatever, and it's still not being one of the greatest of all time. Because again, it has to beat that first Jurassic Park movie, and it's not. But this movie in this franchise, it is the second best. And again, that's not saying too much. But anyway, I loved it so much. I'm going to have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is such a fun summer movie. I definitely recommend everyone to go check this movie out. It has its issues, but if you could suspend the disbelief of, we are dealing with dinosaurs, so let's also not worry about the other things as well. You're going to have a great time with this movie, just like I did. And again, if you can, this is another thing. If you can, check it out in Dolby, whatever it's called, Dolby Cinemas at AMC, and so definitely check it out there. If you can, check it out in IMAX, but try not to see it in 3D, because, come on, 3D's terrible. You know it. Anyway, have a good one, guys. See you on the other side.